Howard Cox, you have been admirably candid on many of those questions. Thank you so much for joining us here on GB News. And, of course, we will be trying to submit all of the challenges to the London Mayoralty to the same sort of process. Thank you very much for your time, Howard Cox. Let's get the views now of our People's Panel back in Wolverhampton. What have they made of the interviews so far? Jack Carson is there for us. Jack, do people feel like their questions have been answered?
Well, welcome back to Wolverhampton, welcome back to the Medicine Bakery. Here we've got our People's Panel, Linda, Pete and William with us. Linda, let's start with you, because of course your question was for Howard Cox. We've just heard him there. What did you make of his comments? Because you were particularly concerned about the safety of your daughter in London, weren't you?
I've got to say, I really agreed with everything that he was saying. I'm very much of a generation that grew up in that if you had a problem, you asked a policeman because they were on the beat. And that was one of the things he was quite clear on, that he would be bringing the police outside of the police station and putting them back on the beat. And that makes you feel more secure when you see them out and about. At the moment, you very rarely actually see policemen out and about. So I think he had an excellent point with that.
What do you make about the idea that he said about kind of having these areas where there would be a policeman manned that people could go to for help and support when they might need? What do you make of that idea, to have kind of these separate areas, like a McDonald's, like he said, 24 hours for people to go to if they felt unsafe?
I think that's a good idea as well, because there'll be many people out, not necessarily just women, that sometimes feel, I mean, you hear young men having, you know, having fights and problems, somewhere where they can easily get to, that's well lit, and a lot of these places are 24 hours in London, then that's a good idea. Any kind of safety zone is a good idea.
Fantastic. Pete, of course, we had Johnny Mercer on. He was talking, answering your question, really, about whether this felt like a zombie government, referring to, of course, Nadine Dorries' comments in her resignation letter. Do you feel like he answered your question?
No, as expected, just more rhetoric. Sitting back, they almost have given up the ghost now, I think. The 5 pledges are out the window. If they want to do something, do something. If they want to stop the small boats, stop the small boats. Let's see some action from the government instead of just rhetoric all the time.
So would action be the thing that would instil more confidence you as a Prime Minister, as Rishi Sunak as Prime Minister?
Absolutely. He's been in office almost 12 months. The Tory government have been in office for 13 years. We want to see them actually doing something. I used to vote Labour. I actually voted for this current Conservative government. I want them to do what we, as the people, want them to do. Represent us.
William, of course, your question was about immigration. Do you feel more confident that the government is taking this seriously? How do you feel about your concerns on that issue?
I have no confidence whatsoever. Empty words, empty promises. So I don't know what's going to happen. So I just don't know what they're going to do about it.
Of course, Johnny Mercer was picking up particularly on the Afghan resettlement scheme and saying that they don't have to cross the Channel, they can apply for that in a third country. Do you feel like that was much of an answer to your question of how to stop the incentive of people coming across the Channel?
To a certain extent, yes. But what my question would have been would be, why could they settle in the first safe country they entered, rather than travelling through various countries to France to come over to the UK?
Yeah, that's very much a view that I think a lot of people would take as well. And just quickly, Pete, Howard Cox was talking there about having a more kind of pro-driver policy within London. Do you think that's actually a policy that needs to be adopted countrywide as well?
Absolutely. Howard was the only person on there who actually spoke sense today. He has some real policies, some real ideas, and hopefully as Mayor of London, if he does beat Colin to the finish line, we'll see some changes.
I mean, do you worry that Wolverhampton could be next for a clean air zone?
I think it's almost inevitable. This is going to be pushed out as saving the planet. It's not only about pollution, it's about keeping our carbon footprint down, which I understand. But again, as Howard was saying, there's a lot of talk about saving the planet. We're making very little impact. This is nature. The temperature changes. It's weather.
Thank you so much to all of our panel, Linda, Pete and William, for joining us here from Wolverhampton today. Lots of good points there made by our panellists, and I think Howard Cox has probably come out better from the guests today.
Well, Jack, thank you so much for bringing us that from Wolverhampton. And of course, if you want to join the GB News People's Panel for the Camilla Tominey Show, you can go to gbnews.com/panel. We're always travelling around the country every single weekend.